Here we are, 5:30 with the nerd. I'm gonna make a video about what was it like growing up where I grew up. I grew up in a small town outside of Buffalo, New York, close to Niagara Falls, home of the. It was funny. I was listening to a Kevin Costner interview. I was so fucking bored a couple days ago. Come on. And he was talking about like the Erie Canal, which goes through my hometown. I actually rescued one of my neighbor. I would never swim in the Erie Canal because it had a horrific undertow that would literally, when they turned the locks on further downstream, down yonder, as they say. I don't say what up in New York. It would, like literally. Not the top part of the water, but about 4 or 5 feet under, there would be a strong ass fucking current, which we call an undertow, which pulls you the fuck under. So, and I don't like chocolate covered water, covered water. I love chocolate covered water. But when I was a kid, before the internet, a lot of BMX bikes. That's where I got my favorite color, hot pink, from. Charlotte Cross Elementary School GT Pro Performer was a bicycle, so it was Dino, Diamondback, Haro. It's funny, we just stopped like 10 minutes ago. We're in the parking lot. This small little Asian guy was like looking at Hercules, and I was like, what the I'm still waking up. I got a big fucking cup of drugs here. And so I brought him over. He's like, "Oh, that's a nice dog. Very good." I was like, "Okay." Anyways, unrelated. So the GT Pro Performer, the bike, we used to go to a place called Freewheelers, which I can't even really believe my mom let us ride our bikes up there. Come on, we're not going over there. So the GT Pro Performer, they made 2 of them. They were $400 bikes back in the motherfucking 80s, okay? Hot pink, like liquid wet hot pink, candy painted hot pink bike with really white tires. This shit was sexy as fuck. I seen that bike in 1st grade. Tim Devine had it. He was a fucking troublemaker. He actually lives down here in Tampa, so shout out to Tim and his landscaping business. I went to play t-ball with his sister Amy, who I haven't seen in fucking, I don't know. Anyways, lots of bicycle shit back then. I remember one time I went over to a kid's house on Ohio Street, and I lived on Ontario Street, and I had a Coyote skateboard. It was a blue skateboard with yellow wheels. The fucking thing was probably about as big as this cup of coffee. And I was at my friend Jeff Fitzhand's house, and my mom, back then when the streetlights came on, you were fucked if you were not home. You know what I mean? That was like a felony. I called my mom. I don't know why she didn't send a cab for $4 for me. Back then you could call Union Taxi for $4.25 and go pretty much anywhere. So I got on the knee. I was never a good skateboarder because I'm just too fucking, I'm built like a fucking volcano, a reverse volcano, big up here, small down, and top heavy. So I got on my knees and I just got on one knee and just rolled the whole fucking way home on the skateboard, zoom, zoom. And I got home pretty quick. And it was dark out and I'm fucking riding my skateboard. I remember I rode past Brian Nowak's house, who was Cub Scouts. He later peed on my hat in 2nd grade. I was on the safety patrol, which is a real goofy version of a crossing guard. You wear an orange strap with a badge. And, man, Def Leppard was really popular back then. But yeah, we used to get on our bikes. Our house on Ontario and Transit, 89 Ontario Street. There was a Scottish guy in our neighborhood. I don't know what the fuck, he just appeared one day, or I appeared one day, vice versa. And he would wear a fucking kilt and just walk around Like, he was a fucking straight up Scottish dude. I mean, just the random shit. I remember I got hit by a fucking Chevy Nova in a parking lot like this, right? First time I ever been knocked out in my life. I came to on the windshield of the car, like, or as you say in the UK, the fault in windscreen. I got hit by a lorry. I came to blinking, and the lady's like looking at me through the window, and my bike was under her car. I got up, got off the car, and just no checking of my personal safety or anything. Hercules, come on, Bubba. Remember before I had you, I used to be able to ride my bike in the morning. Not anymore. Come on. All right, this is way too fucking, this is way too long. Excuse me. What the fuck is going on over here? Yeah. Yeah, shake it off, Taylor Swift. Come here. So, we had the McGreevy's down the street. They had a raccoon, a pet raccoon, and this is in the city. They had a pet raccoon, fucking geese in their yard. We had alleys back then were such a cool thing to me. Like, we had alleys, and we'd ride our bikes down. I forget the name of the alley, but I mean it was right behind my house. And the nuns, we lived next to a nunnery. Sister Renee, God bless her, she was old, no disrespect, because I mean, she was really cool, as cool as a nun can be. We had one sister that looked like a dinosaur, Sister Loretta. She's got to be dead because she was 105 when I was 5. And I'll be there soon, don't worry, Sister Loretta. But used to ride our bikes up towards, there's a VFW back parking lot. But back then, you know, you could like trespass. You know, that's one thing I miss is trespassing. You know, you could walk through people's yards. And, you know, you were a kid. You weren't a fucking creep yet. You know, now you're a fucking weirdo if you're walking. Now you're getting arrested if you're walking in people's yards. You know what I mean? But you could kind of like trespass. Come on, dude, you're fucking my flow up. I hate you. You got some running in. You could kind of like trespass in people's yards and, you know, get away with it because, you know, you were fucking 7. But back then, you know, you could let your kids, you know, your kids like go places. Like today, I wouldn't, you know, I just couldn't even imagine. I remember one time my dad was home from work. My dad worked for General Motors, and it was a fucking hot-ass factory job. So he used to come home, do a union job, so he made good money. I'm not, you know, it was what everybody did in our town. They went to work at Harrison Motors, Harrison Radiators, and GM. So it's funny, there's a bar across the street from there called the Copper Penny. So where was I getting off track? Oh yeah, so I remember nobody had air conditioning back then, especially in New York. You know, you might have had a window unit. I always used to go crawl in my mom's bed Saturday morning when my dad wasn't home. Me and my little brother slept in the same bed from preschool to, I just think my parents just gave up on buying us a bed. I don't know why. I think they forgot that we didn't have a bed, but we used to sleep in the same bed from like first to like second grade, or from kindergarten to third grade, and it wasn't weird. You know, we were listening to fucking George Michael. We used to play like G.I. Joes and shit, and then we got bunk beds. And that was the best, because it was like you had a fucking loft apartment as a kid. Yes, this guy like kicked our garbage cans over. Like in the middle of a summer, August, sweltering night when the windows are all open. And I just heard this crash, bang, boom, and I heard my dad get out of bed, and he was like, motherfucker. Not you, Hercules. My dog turned around. You don't answer to that. What are you, an abusive relationship? Little nerd? Oh, don't start running. You're such a good-looking dog. You are such a good-looking dog. Yes. So my dad like ran downstairs and yelled and grabbed a guy, and I forget what happened. It wasn't nothing crazy, but my dad was nuts. I remember one time this dude flipped my dad off on a motorcycle, and my dad, like, probably was one of the first cases of road rage, chased the dude, and meanwhile he's got his kid in his Cub Scout uniform. Chased the guy down and grabbed a fucking baseball bat out of the trunk, and I just remember the guy going like, "Please, mister, please," and I was just going, "What the fuck?" Like, even at my age, I thought, man, that's kind of fucking extreme, bro. Like, you're grabbing a baseball bat? Just go up and push the guy over the bike. That's what you do. You grab him by the helmet, or as Trump says. Remember that video? You grab him by the helmet. Them are some of the early memories. I remember I wanted a pet turtle. I never got one. Ontario Street. Man, it just seemed like one of those streets that it went up over a hill. Come on, we're not licking the pavement. This really fucking annoys me when you do that. It's like you're fucking like Napoleon Dynamite over here. Come on. Come on. It's like one of those streets that, like, the sun would set down at the end of the street, obviously in the west, and it would go up over a hill. But, yeah, I mean, nothing crazy. I mean, as I got older, there was nothing to do in my fucking town. Drugs hadn't really become a thing. Weed wasn't the weed that... I don't even think weed is weed today. It's so genetically modified. It is so fucking strong. I think the government waited till they could do whatever they were going to do with weed. I know that's because I'm fucking crazy and I think everything's a conspiracy and I don't believe in outer space. But anyways, like LSD was popular. Pills were not a thing. I remember my dad used to get Valium, and I'd never take them. Bottles and bottles of Valium. I never even took one. And we used to sell them to this girl. I don't even know how this came about, but this girl that let like all my friends make out with her, and one of those type of situations. When you're young, when you're whatever, when you're a sexual predator. Come on. And I remember asking her, like, we were like 10th, 8th, 9th grade. Asking her, hey, yeah, probably 9th grade. Had to be high school. We asked her to trade the Valium if she'd buy us a case of fucking Mad Dog. And I remember we went to the cemetery. Me, Sean Powell took his mom's station wagon. This big ass. I mean, station wagon was fucking huge back then. You had the back seat and the back seat, which was like a love seat that faced the back window. Went down to Cold Spring Cemetery or the Country Club, where we would, it was kind of snowy out, but we all like pulled in. I don't know why. We weren't thinking about like how to get out of there quick. But we pulled in, started drinking Mad Dog, smoking weed. Messing around with my girlfriend at the time behind like this little landscaping building, and boom, like 4 cops pull up, right? And ride down the golf in the snow, ride down the golf thing, like the golf cart path. And we end up having to like walk home through like the forest, and there were 2 places to hang out when I was a kid in my town: Mighty Taco and Denny's. And that was it. And you would get fucked up and go to one of those and just sit there. I feel so bad for the waitresses that waited on us, but I'd always tip.